Welcome to the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. This week in the Royal Corner, green-eyed Prince William will be attending the Pontiff's ceremony for his funeral on Saturday. How come the King's not going? And will the Queen in waiting, Lazy Katie, be in attendance? Also in the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner, Plan B Queen Camilla oversees the normalization of disgraced Epstein pal Prince Andrew at Easter Mass service at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, showing that unity means more than misconduct. King in waiting Prince William and Boo Boo Kitty Katie. I just like saying that. Boo Boo Kitty Katie. Okay, yeah. King in waiting Prince William and Boo Boo Kitty Katie will spend their wedding anniversary in Scotland. Yes, people, they're having another holiday. Also in the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, releases cute Easter duck parade on her Instagram account and gets 7 million hits. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, and manufactured outrage over HRH titles and the prospect of William removing said titles. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex at the Time Summit says this is the happiest she's been. And I know this is a long list. There's bare things to cover this week. Pippa Middleton, sister of Boo Boo Kitty Katie, Queen in waiting, also known as Lazy Katie, appears to have let the cat out the bag regarding her cancer treatment. It's reported that she said it wasn't that kind of illness. Really? All this and more, plus this week's sycophants of the week on the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. Before I jump into this week's show, I would like to say thank you to everyone who subscribed. The Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner is a feature of my political talk show every week, which is held at 8 p.m. on X and it's live. That's Twitter, 3 p.m. GMT. You can subscribe to my channel where I now have 1,090 people. Can you believe it? I've already passed my target of 1,000. Thank you so much to everyone who's subscribed and keeps coming back for my content. It's truly a marvel to me and I really appreciate you being here. Click the notification button so that I can be delivered directly, darlings, into your inbox. How fabulous is that? Visit my website at deniseheadley.com where you can buy me free wings and chips and a Miranda. Or you may wish to sponsor rice peas chicken, oxtail patty, saltfish, callaloo, drink, crisps at my local Caribbean shop, which is much appreciated. This is a splendiferous production because it's splendid and different, darling, just like me and all of you. Right, let's jump into the show. Right. Story number 1. Green-eyed Prince William will be at the Pontiff's funeral on Saturday. Where is his father? Why is he not in attendance? And will Lazy Katie be making an appearance? The Prince of Wales will attend the funeral of the Pontiff, Pope Francis, on Saturday, Kensington Palace has announced. Prince William will represent the King and will join world leaders, including UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, US Prime Minister Donald Trump, and France's Prime Minister Mr. Macron at the funeral service at St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. According to this article, the world is those leaders that they just expressed. What about the rest of the Catholic world? Clearly an oversight with this particular correspondent. The Pope succumbed to his illness on Monday and departed. King Charles was at the previous Pontiff's funeral in 2005, but he's not making this one. How come? Is it an opportunity for the green-eyed prince to be pictured with world leaders? Or does the king not want to be so close to death? Literally, I think there's an open casket. And what about Lazy Katie? Will she be putting in an appearance? I mean, she doesn't miss opportunities for free flights. I'll be jumping all over that one next. In the Buckingham Palace statement, they also said that meeting the Pope had been the highlight of King Charles and the Plan B Queen's visit to Italy. Also this week in the Headley Highlight Show's Real Corner, Queen Camilla oversees proceedings that normalized the disgraced Epstein friend Prince Andrew at Easter Mass service at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, demonstrating that unity means more than misconduct. And the authors of this article are in contention for this week's podium position of Sycophants of the Week. The article is curated by Monique Rubins and Catherine Lawton for the Mail Online. Yes, I know, people. I'm working. I have to use all sources. In this article, Monique and Catherine frame bias as news and provide a context of protection and cover for the firm under the jurisdiction of the Plan B Queen to frame the integration of Prince Andrew, given the misconduct and scandal he was involved in, and the cha-ching cash that was paid to allow the previous monarch to have a peaceful jubilee and transition to the afterlife. This article frames his reintegration in the family as a point of unity we should all celebrate. How absolutely revolting. And for that alone, that early framing, they get Sycophants of the Week. Let's give them a quick clap for that. This is the type of reporting that passes as news. So listen to how they frame it. Queen Camilla oversaw proceedings at the Easter Martin service, which brought together much of the royal family today, according to the body language expert. Reports Monique Rubins and Catherine Lawton for the Mail Online. Despite the notable absence of the Prince of Wales and his wife, let's not forget they're not bothering with that no more, the Easter service at the St. George's Chapel, Windsor, was a joyful occasion for the royals. Camilla, 77, appeared quietly in charge of leading the choreography rather than being led by King Charles, said expert Judy James, whoever she is, with her one-sided opinion, providing pseudo-science off of some pictures and paying her mortgage off of this ting, rinsing it out. The Queen, who chose a powder blue embroidered dress for the occasion, performed a little circular walk, reminding her husband that they were to greet the public, the little people, before going to the chapel, James added. Her subtle gesture to encourage Charles, 76, to uphold the tradition of meeting royal well-wishers reflected her raised profile. So they're trying to tell you because she's encouraging him, she's got a raised profile. Please bring me a sick bucket. In the aftermath of her husband's cancer diagnosis and treatment, and that was the sympathy line. Charles and Camilla were joined by a grinning Prince Andrew, along with other members of the royal family at the Easter Sunday service. He appeared in high spirits as he joined his brother Charles at the St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, that afternoon. The article goes on to tell me what clothes they were wearing and features numerous pictures of the family. The important thing for me with this article and what it actually demonstrates is the relationship between the establishment and the UK British press, and how the UK British press will actually work hand in hand, ring and finger, hand in glove with the firm, irrespective of their misconduct, and how that misconduct is framed for the public's consumption. And in summation, Monique Rubins and Catherine Lawton, her namesake, Boo Boo Kitty Katie, obviously a sycophant supporter she's named after her, they share the same name, should I say, apply and have won this week's contender position, and there are others, but they also have the first place podium positions for Sycophants of the Week. Let's cheer them on. Thank you to Catherine and Monique. You deserve it. Thank you so much. No, thank you. No, thanking you. Thank you. Also in the Headley Highlight Shows, Real Corner. King-in-waiting Prince William and Boo Boo Kitty Katie will be spending their 14th wedding anniversary in Scotland at the public expense, I'm sure, flying and also emitting various things into the atmosphere. Yes, they're going on another holiday. So this article is by Tony Jones of the Evening Standard, the rag that no longer exists that used to be used to clean mirrors. Tony Jones is coming in this week also to take the podium position of sycophant of the week. He writes a milk-curdling, rank puff article to suggest harmony and a blissful relationship between Boo Boo Kitty Katie and the green-eyed king in waiting. The framing of this article doesn't encourage you to ask why they're going on another trip. Weren't you skiing in February in the Lake District only 72 hours ago? Kate, weren't you the woodland nymph, the moss queen, embracing nature? And now you're off to a self-catering chalet, trying to suggest somehow you're like the ordinary people, cooking your own sarnies, burning the toast. Oh, the article is absolutely vile. But it's my duty to bring it to you. Right. The Prince of Wales will spend, the Prince and the Princess of Wales will spend their 14th wedding anniversary in a self-catering cottage on a Scottish island. William and Kate will travel back to the country where they fell in love, the 2-day visit meeting craftspeople, farmers and residents. Notice how William and Kate are named, but the little people, the craft people, the farmers and the residents, the peasants don't even have names. They don't even have names for Tony from the Evening Standard. And now enters Tony's romantic rural trope. The couple were married at Westminster Abbey on the 29th of April 2011, with the eyes of the world watching the future king and queen. Really? Don't you think other people had other things to do on that day? Tony. But no, now Tony Jordan from the Evening Standard leaps into the future and practices clairvoyance in his article. It is likely, he writes, they will enjoy a romantic meal for two during their night on Mull next Tuesday after a day of official engagements. So Tony's trying to tell you, firstly, he knows what they're going to be eating, how they're going to be eating, and whether or not they'll be sharing the evening together. Tony clearly has the inside track on what's going on with the couple. But it's only being able to occur once they've done official engagements, yes. That's when I said they'll be meeting the serfs and the peasants. And then they'll be allowed to go home and cook their own meal. That's the framing you're supposed to take away from this. They think everyone who listens and reads this stuff has had a lobotomy. Right! Tony then goes on to tell you that they've been life partners for 20 years. Really? She was hanging on like an albatross around his neck waiting to be queen. And she got the bring-in. And that doesn't constitute life partner. The article goes on to talk about the Lord of the Isles, which is one of the Scottish titles that William has inherited from his father. But there's no political context about the fact that Scotland, would like to be independent. Yeah, Robert the Brave. Hold if you haven't seen Braveheart. Yeah, the fact is there's nothing there. He just paints this article and he paints their relationship with no political context whatsoever. This is why, once again, you can see the Evening Standard and its reporting jockeying for the top position of sycophant of the week. And yes, Tony, you work so hard for it. I think it's only just we give it to you. You also share the podium position of sycophant of the week, along with the Mail Online, Monique Rubins and Catherine Lawton. This goes out to you, Tony Jordan, Monique Rubins and Catherine Lawton. Thank you so much. Sycophants of the week. Thank you. You're just too generous. Thank you so much. Also, in the Headley highlight shows, Royal Corner. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex's Easter Duck Parade gets 7 million hits on Instagram. This is a nice story which I wanted to bring to you. And it supports the fact that Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, has a very strong MIV value, which is called media interest value. The Mail Online, but I couldn't find the article, actually contended that her media interest pool and her influence is greater than that of Kate's. And this is a prime example of that. The Duchess of Sussex posted a sweet Easter message on her Instagram along with a short video of a mother duck walking with her ducklings. The Duchess can be seen watching the moment and enjoying it. And she posted her joy on her Instagram with her face. And she got 7 million hits. And the Bitterati convened and said it was manufactured. They could only ever wish for a moment like that with Boo Boo Kitty Katie and the Green-Eyed King in waiting. The ducks, if they ever appeared for them, would be moving in the opposite direction because they would have feared for their own life. So it's just more of the haters, but I thought that was a nice little article to bring to you. Also in the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. Also, I forgot to say to everyone, Happy Easter. And I hope you had a time for chilling, renewing, sharing and being with others. The Duchess also said, wishing you a happy Easter full of love and surprises. That's what the caption read. Also in this week's Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. Oh, this is the story of manufactured outrage. Now, this article that I'm making references is coming from Yahoo. And the associated article I got from, which I'm going to read from a little bit, is called From Times India News. Now, this is about the situation where Meghan Markle received an Easter basket because Harry went to the Ukraine and visited some of the troops. She shared the Instagram post of the family enjoying it. And the person that gave it to them called her Your Royal Highness. She retweeted it, and the malice machine began overbrimming and boiling over. And this is the article from Yahoo News. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and of course they don't call her that, they call her Meghan Markle, has provoked outrage among friends of the royal family after publishing a message addressing herself as Your Royal Highness. First of all, if you weren't so maccoing the Duchess's business, you wouldn't know, excuse me, what she had retweeted. But you're so busy fastening yourself in their affairs that anything they do warrants some kind of commentary. Yahoo News and all the others amongst you. According to the article, Buckingham Palace declined to comment, but a friend of King Charles, no one's ever named, the framing is singular, it doesn't provide any other side to the story, and it centers the king and his needs as paramount to the contribution. Totally unbiased, I'm sure. Buckingham Palace declined to comment, but a friend of the king, Charles, told the Daily Beast that he would be dismayed at, and they don't even call her Miss Markle, you know, they call her Markle, calling her by her last name. Oi! Okay, let's start this again, Denise. Buckingham Palace declined to comment, but a friend of the King Charles told the Daily Beast that he would be dismayed, and I'm putting in the Duchess of Sussex, posting a screen grab to Instagram of a message from a senior Ukrainian Vice Prime Minister, Yulia Severendenko, that began, Your Royal Highness, I would like to express my sincere thanks for everything your family has done, is, he says, outrageous. Every time you think you can't make it worse, they make it worse. This source is unnamed, okay? This could be the postman for all we know, okay? It could be someone from DPD. The friend of the king says, the deal with the HRH was the way to stop them cashing in while letting them walk away with pride and dignity and trust, my God. And how now, once again calling her Markle, using her HRH on a website seems to exist to sell jams. How contemptuous a contribution is that? How debasing and dehumanizing. He's not even referring to the Duchess by her name. And he's trying to reference the idea that they're trying to simply cash in on their name. Somebody else used the title. So what if she retweeted it? Their obsession is bordering on a mental illness. And it's based in this racist assumption she's not entitled. She's a usurper, a pusher in. and it's constantly pushed in these articles. And to top it off, there were other articles saying that Prince William, when he gets to be king, he's going to revoke their titles. Sorry, that needs an act of parliament. So what government are you going to get to do that? So the country doesn't have basic amenities, living standards are falling, and we've got an epidemic of crime against women. Yeah, crime against women is an epidemic, and you're telling me that the government is going to want to worry about whether they should remove their titles? Well, what about the rest of the royals? Are you going to take it away from Queen Anne? Sorry, Princess Anne, she does more work than you, bruv. Anyway, let me move to the next quick story before I just, become overly exercised by the ridiculousness of the firm. Also in the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, says this is the happiest she's ever been, which is a good news story, as she appears at the Time Summit, which is a group of leaders and a community that spotlights solutions and encourages actions towards a better world. Try taking some notes, boo-boo kitty Katie and green-eyed king-in-waiting Prince William. The Duchess sat down with Time CEO Jessica Selby, and they discussed her new podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder, and her philanthropy, and balancing that with her life as a mother and a wife. And she said this is the happiest she's ever been. And you can see her face, she's glowing. And I love that brown outfit she was wearing. It was kind of like the jacket and the two-piece. I thought that was really smart. I'm sure there's a wait list for that, but not the coat dress. Oh dear. And okay, moving along swiftly to the next story in the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. Yes, this is a story about Pippa Middleton. Now, if like me, you don't just listen to the mainstream, you listen because you need to be aware of what's being said externally, but you also know that that's a contrived theatre. So you get your news elsewhere. Like here, for example, I was doing some research and I came across something rather interesting, darling. Pippa Middleton, sister of Boo Boo Kitty Katie, Queen-in-waiting, otherwise known as Lazy Katie, appears to have let a cat out of the bag and released some news. As my mum would say, mouth open, story jumped out. She gave an interview, and it's reported that she said, after being asked how come she took 2 holidays when her sister had cancer, how come he weren't by her side mopping her brow, applying a cold poultice, checking her temperature by putting your hand under her armpit or putting a thermometer there, or don't they do that anymore? And her reply was, it wasn't that kind of illness. Really? What do you mean by that, Pippa Middleton? It wasn't that kind of illness. It wasn't cancer? Oh, what's all that about? Well, according to a TikTok creator and also another creator I saw on YouTube, this is what's been said. Let me share it with you, darlings. The creator's name is Ministry of Hacks on TikTok. Just as a sidebar, it's important to note that Pippa said in the article, or it's reported that she said, Kate was not ill in the traditional sense. Here's the creator.
Morning friends, happy Thursday, and there's been various articles that have sort of commented on the same thing as this, that there's a bit of a divide between Kate and her sister Pippa. Some of the articles are more sensational than others. Let me tell you what could have caused this little bit of a divide. So last week, Pippa was interviewed for a celebrity glossy magazine in the UK. It went digital first. Pippa was asked why she took 2 separate holidays while Kate was having her cancer treatment. And Pippa's answer was very surprising. And the answer was, well, Kate wasn't ill in the traditional sense.
Really? What does that mean? That she wasn't ill in the traditional sense. Didn't she have cancer? Wasn't it reported widely that she is now recovering from cancer? So what's not traditional about that? Or is it that Pippa Middleton, like so many of the women in that circle, wants to see her sister perforated in a particular way? So she drops that into the lexicon. So their conversation now is, well, how come that's being said? You can chew all over that one. But I think it's a particularly odd thing to say, especially from someone who didn't visit her sister when she was, as they say, in hospital receiving cancer treatment. What kind of sister is that? Anyway, I'm going to round it up because, oh my God, it's 24 minutes long. So this week in Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner, we had Prince William will be absolutely rinsing out the opportunities for photographs with other world leaders, as he will be representing the UK at the Pontiff's funeral on Saturday. The Pope is being buried. The Plan B Queen oversaw the normalization of the disgraced Epstein friend, Prince Andrew, at the Easter service, and brother of the King. Such a great moral compass for the nation. Tony Jones of the Evening Standard and Monique Rubens and Catherine Lawton also this week got sycophants of the week. There you go, people. I also touched on the Duchess and her Instagram post where she released the picture of the Easter egg parade of the ducks. And then there was a manufactured outrage because somebody addressed them using the titles HRH. And then we had all the articles saying that William had nothing better to do with his time. He doesn't want to solve homelessness. No, he just wants to spend time press ganging Parliament to remove their titles. Then I reported on the fact that Meghan was at the Time Summit and she says she's the happiest she's been, which is great news. And then there's this scandoulies about Pippa saying that her sister didn't have a traditional illness. And none of the main papers picked it up, but sorry, what are you talking about? Has the public been misled? Who would think it? Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this week's Headley Highlight Show and Royal Corner. My God, it's gone on really long, but there were so many things to pick up this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Please retweet, like, and share. Comment as well. Also, I'm trying to now get to 1,500. Okay, that's my next goal. Please support me and do so. Jump over to my YouTube, DeniseHeadley.com. I will be delivered to you, darling, straight into your inbox every Friday. How fabulous is that? In addition to that, you can buy me wings and chips or oxtail, a patty, and a cake. See you next week. Thanks for listening, and it's my pleasure to spend my time with you. Thank you so much, and cut. Toodle pip, darlings. I done it. Bye.